as always, as we have done for the last, week, 2 weeks, 10 days, draw the line wherever you want. The questions or discussion about the Red Sox is going to be big picture in nature. If you're watching, why are you watching? If you're not, why are you not? What is it from the team that you want to see this year? All big picture stuff that'll always be there for the rest of the season, unless or until the Red Sox somehow play their way into it. But again, 617-779-0985. It's Wednesday night on the Baseball Hour, which means one thing and one thing only. Jimmy Stewart, do you want to tell people what it is?
It is Jared Carrabis, who I acknowledge as my baseball tribal chief.
Okay, there you go. Jared Carrabis of Underdog Sports. Is that the full title?
Underdog Fantasy.
Underdog Fantasy, not Underdog Sports.
Underdog Fantasy.
Underdog Fantasy.
Section 10, Baseball is Dead.
Correct. Section 10 podcast as well.
Right.
Jared is presented by Blue Moon Belgian White. Be sure to relax and enjoy the ball game with Blue Moon Belgian White. That's Blue Moon, born in a ballpark, brewed for baseball. So, 617-779-0985. I've said that a couple of times. You want to talk to Jared, now's the time to do it. There is a question I have for him regarding Alex Cora, something that was written about Alex Cora in the last day, but I'm going to hold on to that for just a second because I want to ask him from last week to this week, and I think I know the answer, whether or not your outlook or opinion on the Red Sox or whether anything has happened on the field, and other than the Chris Martin thing, which we'll also get to during the course of the show, but is there anything going on with the team in the organization that has raised your eyebrows in the last week?
Nope. I mean, they're just...
There you go. Yep, absolutely, Jimmy. Good job.
Joe Murray coming up next here on the Sports Hub.
Yeah, it is. It's a collision course for 81 and 81. That's just what it feels like.
I mean, really, down to every last detail, Jared.
Yeah, I know.
It's stunning. So I said this yesterday at this time. They had played 54 games, which, again, you already know all this, but a lot of fans don't. Exactly 1/3 of the season. And when I started covering years ago, that was sort of a milepost. Where you get to Memorial Day weekend, it was a milepost, 2 months in the books, 4 months to go. And the old adage was, and it's changed a little, but not a lot. Now I think executives, GMs give the teams a little bit more time. And they say, well, we're really going to take it till end of June. We'll see what it is for the first half of the season. Then we'll use a month to make moves, improve the roster, and then we'll see where we are in the final 2 months of the season. Back then, it was, we're going to use the first 2 months to evaluate. We get to Memorial Day, and then we're going to start making moves in the next 2 months, and then the final 2 months are for playing it out.
Sure.
So, if you use that metric, is there enough there for you to believe that the Red Sox have a chance at the playoffs?
It's an interesting question because I still do think that they could get in. Does that make me optimistic or excited about the outlook of the 2024 Boston Red Sox? No, not really, because I don't know. Maybe I'm spoiled, and I am a little bit spoiled as it comes to the Red Sox, but I don't think that there's anything that they can do to get me. I can't get up for it unless I am under the impression that they can win a World Series. Like, do I think that they could sneak in? Yeah, I guess, because if they have a hot month, that's really what could be a separator of getting in or not.
Absolutely, it could.
I think that they're capable of having a hot month. Because of the pitching staff, once they get Tristan Casas back, I do think that they are capable of sneaking in. But does that make me feel like, oh man, like, yeah, all you got to do is get in? And like, no, I still think that once you get in the field, like there are top heavy in the American League, like teams would just snuff them out pretty quickly. Yeah.
Okay, so and just so we have the actual math to give you an idea, right now, the Red Sox are the first team out of the wild card. Okay, so if 3 teams make the wild card, they're in 4th. The wild card race is, let's see, Baltimore, Kansas City, Minnesota. And just to give you an idea what it would take right now to get into the wild card, because I think the disparity between the haves and the have-nots in baseball now is as big as I can remember it. There's very few teams in the middle. The Red Sox are one of them. But the bottom line is, they are 2.5 games out of the final wild card spot. but the team in front of and 3 in the loss column. The team in front of the Minnesota is on pace for 90 wins. Okay, the Red Sox, as of yesterday, were on pace for 81. So the gap, it does 2.5 doesn't feel like a lot, but remember, but that's over 54 games, right? That's over 54 games. So the point being that over 90, over 162 games, you're actually 9 games behind. If you think of it in those terms, and that's a big gap. That is not a small gap. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a couple of calls with Jared right out of the gate, and then we are going to get to Alex Cora, because there was something interesting written about him in the last day or so that I wanted to run by Jared for lots of reasons, and we'll get his take on that. Alex in Marlboro on the Red Sox. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, man. Listen, I'm a 35-year-old Sox fan, so I've been there for really only the glory years, and now I'm following, but I wouldn't say I'm watching. A couple of reasons. I'm sick of 500 ball. A couple of years of this now, and I'm done with it. But also, NESN is a pain in the butt to watch. I have NESN 360, but I got to unplug one thing, plug in another thing, and then really what's the point when I could just sit on my couch and watch really anything else?
Okay, but Alex, I'll tell you what, take the NESN thing out of it. I don't know if you're a hockey fan. Do you watch hockey?
I do watch hockey, yeah.
Okay, do you have any trouble with NESN when you're watching the Bruins?
Well, not in the playoffs. Maybe the regular season has the same problem.
Okay, but the point is that it's the product. It's not your access. And I'm not telling you that I think the app is great or that the ability to access it is great. I'm just telling you that if the product were good, you'd put up with it. You'd put in the extra effort and you'd go with the product. Okay, the problem is the product. Jared, one thing I hear a lot from people, and I'm sure you do too, is that one of the reasons they can't watch is because there were no star players.
Mm-hmm. That's what I say.
Okay, so where do you put that on the list for you?
Pretty high. Yeah, because I was talking to Jimmy in the back there, and I was saying how, even in seasons before, like I remember, like the Alex that just called in, we're the same age. So I feel the same frustration that he does. And 2006 was the example that I used. It's like, okay, yeah, the Red Sox finished, I believe, in 3rd that year. So no playoffs, kind of where the Red Sox are right now, but you had David Ortiz chasing the Red Sox single-season home run record. Like, no one's doing that. It's a 4A lineup that they trot out there every single night. You've got Devers, that he's your star, and then after that, who's your star? Like, you don't have star players. And in 2010, I remember they were 3rd place team. Pedroia's out there hitting 3 bombs, and that team didn't fall off till he got hurt. But you had guys to tune in and watch where it's like, yeah, we may not record-wise be in the mix, but this team could get hot. Like, it's very conceivable that this team could get hot and make it into the playoffs. And if they get in and they get healthy, then of course. If this team gets healthy and gets in, do you still feel like they're capable of winning a champ? No. They don't have the stars. They don't have the power. So that's what's frustrating is when you're a fan like me who is going to watch 162 games regardless. I just remember, to the caller's point about growing up, if you're in your mid-30s right now, sure, the Red Sox didn't make the playoffs every single year, but it wasn't a chore to sit down and watch the Red Sox in the years where they didn't make the playoffs or they didn't win a World Series or whatever, because you had relatable players, you had exciting players, there was pieces of the future that were on the team where it's like, yeah, all right, there's Jacoby Ellsbury and blah, blah, blah.
Because you're basically the same age as the caller,
I'm
right?
35, yeah, I'm the exact same age.
Yep. Yeah, no. So look, I think it all comes back to the winning, but I will also admit to you that one leads to the other. I mean, it's just how baseball works. The matchups are all individual matchups. It's about individual talent, and stars produce, particularly in the playoffs. I mean, I think, Jared, it's a big reason why, for the most part, the Oakland A's or the Tampa Bay Rays or the Minnesota Twins, at least in this generation, for lack of a better description or word, why they haven't. They generally have not had enough star power to be able to beat the good teams. Tampa Bay's got to mix and match. So they're constantly over-managing it, platoons and bullpens. And so what happens in the postseason? Some of those guys fail because you don't get the right matchup at the right time, or there's a 3-batter minimum and you can't take this guy out. Now the other team pinch hits, or they have a guy going up to the plate who can hit both righties and lefties because they have more good players than you.
Sure.
So that's ultimately what I think. So they're sort of the same thing. If you have star players, you usually win in baseball.
Yes. Look at the Phillies. Oh, my God. Look at their attendance. Look at their record. They have stars. They have Dave Dombrowski.
Well, and the other thing is fans believe in stars.
Sure.
Independent of the entertainment value, they believe in the talent of the star. So that guy's good. They're going to win if they have him. That is sort of the thought process for the fan.
Yeah.
It's not just, I want to watch this guy because he's entertaining. I mean, in baseball, that's hard to do. You're only going to get 4 at-bats a night, unless it's a starting pitcher who's only going to pitch every 5 days.
And it's not even about just the stars. They have major league players. Like Nick Castellanos is not a star, but it's like
he's not a bum.
You tune in and you're like, this is a big league player. Like, this is a guy. I've heard of this guy before. I know who this is. Like, that's the Phillies right now. They have the best record in baseball.
So if you're on the line, sit tight. We're going to get to you when we come back. I also want to introduce this Alex Cora story that was in the Boston Sports Journal. And there's nothing overly controversial in there. In fact, there's nothing controversial at all. It's really just more of a viewpoint and a perspective on Cora's demeanor of late. And Jared has good insight into Cora's personality, understands what Cora is going through at any particular time, what is annoying him or what is pleasing him and those sorts of things. And I thought it'd be a good thing to run by him. So don't go anywhere. Alex Cora, when we come back in, your phone calls.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Matt.
we were really good today. We used the whole personnel. Ref, as you guys know, he's a good player. And obviously Willie started off with the homer. When your best player runs the bases the way he did today, that tells you the whole story, right? And, he's up down the line, and he didn't hesitate. And overall, awesome. Good energy. I haven't seen so many fans, chanting for us in a while, here. So we'll take it, but we got a job to do tomorrow. Come here and try to win the series.
So that was Alex Cora last night. And let me just say this, if the Red Sox can win this game tonight, I'm not telling you that the world's going to change or anything of the like. I try to treat them all for what they are. And I've always said, you got to, the baseball season's a marathon. We all know that. But if you're going to make it watchable and worthwhile as a fan, you treat them as series. Every series should count for something. There's got to be some urgency, and we're going to win series. We're going to give ourselves little goals to compete and try to win. If you can go into Baltimore and beat them 2 out of 3, whether it means anything or not, that's a good 3 days. That's a good team. Might be the most talented young team in baseball, short of the Braves, potentially, when you add it all up. So win the series. Oh, that's fine. I'm not going to spit on that because I think would be a good goal for them, given where they are and who they are.
The Orioles haven't lost a series to a team in the American League East since April of last year.
Okay, any series of any kind?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so again, I was just so tonight it's Cutter Crawford, and against Corbin Burns, though, right? So the matchup seems to favor Baltimore, but Crawford's been pretty consistent all year long. He's been pretty good. Again, I'm just giving you that part of it. Now, let me read to you what Gethin Kulba of the Boston Sports Journal wrote about Alex Cora, and I'm just curious to Jared on your perspective on it. Okay, he writes, has anybody checked on Alex Cora lately? Often jovial and quick-witted in his interactions with the press. The Red Sox manager hasn't seemed like his usual self lately. And Kulba goes on to write, I'm not the only one who has noticed either. A colleague who interacts with Cora regularly acknowledged to me that they too have sensed the skipper's demeanor has shifted from chipper to businesslike in recent weeks. Then Kulba writes, is Cora feeling the pressure of another middling season while managing in a contract year with a new boss? Is he tired and fed up with the cards he's been dealt with this team? Is he starting to become a little mentally checked out and focused on his next job? Those are the questions. Let me start with this, Jared. Do you believe that assessment is generally correct, that Cora has been a little bit more intense or irritable, for lack of a better word, in the last couple of weeks?
I would say it's been the whole year.
Okay.
I think it started in spring training when he was kind of asked about his future with the Boston Red Sox, and he was just like, I'm at peace with it. He basically told you in spring training, I don't care.
Right.
I'm going to manage the season. We're going to see what happens. If we win, great. If we don't, not my problem. That's how I took it in spring training. And I will preface all of this by saying this season in particular is the least communication that I've had with him since he got here.
Okay.
Read into that however you would like. But to some of those questions, though, can you read some of those questions? Because I feel like a lot of the answers were no.
Okay. Is Cora feeling the pressure of another middling season?
No.
While managing in a contract year, the answer is no.
No, I don't believe he's feeling the pressure. I think what he said in spring training is true. I think he's just truly at peace with the situation.
Okay, now the contract goes on to say, while managing in a contract year with a new boss who he isn't sure is fully in his corner. In other words, is the uncertainty of the relationship with Breslow a factor in his demeanor?
Maybe, because I think there is some paranoia with him where he has his guys. I think he wants to feel like, you're on. I think you're on his side or not. I think he wants to know. And I don't know if he knows about Breslow yet.
Okay, because it's still a relatively new relationship. Can make him uneasy.
With Dombrowski, it's like, I know that we're good here. And everyone, and like Eddie and Raquel, like those are his people. I don't know what his relationship is with Breslow. I have no idea.
Okay, is he tired and fed up with the cards he's been dealt with this team?
Yes, but I think he's past that. It's almost like, if you're bickering with your partner and you just get to a point where you're like, I give up. You win. I don't care. Like, I think he's at that point. I don't think that he's like, man, I wish that we could, have a better roster and, you're not giving me the tools that I need. I think that was last year. And now this year it's more just like, like I'm at my breaking point. I give up. You win. Don't care.
Okay. Is he starting to become a little mentally checked out and focused on his next job?
No, I don't think that he's checked out. I think that he has too much pride to say I'm not trying to win every day. I mean, there's been games this year where he's used every piece of his bench. He manages the bullpen like it's Game 7 of the World Series. There's a professionalism to him that I don't think that he would, even if he believed. I can't tell you how he feels about this team. There's been years past where, we've been in June and July, and I've heard his thoughts about like how he feels about the team. I don't know how he feels about this team. I haven't gotten the sense that he's managed this season like he's given up. I think he's trying to win every single game. I think that he's a man of pride. So I don't think that he has mailed it in.
Okay, so let me tell you what. I mean, let me just give you my 2 cents on it, and then you tell me whether I'm on to anything or not. And again, I'm just asking for your opinion, whether you think I'm on to anything. Okay, I think I generally agree with pretty much your stance on all of that. I think that Cora has accepted the fact that they weren't going to be good, that the situation is what it is, and that he's out of here at the end of the year. He's paid his penance to the Red Sox for bringing him back after he had been suspended. He owes them nothing beyond this contract. And again, he obviously lost 30 pounds. He looks healthier than he's ever been. So he came in with a different attitude this year. All of that I think is true. And I give him a lot of credit for it. I mean, I commend him for it. But I do think any manager, whether you're in a good place or not, goes through stretches during the year where there'll be little triggers that set you off. And it's a brutal job. And so I'll tell you what I wonder about. And this, again, I read something this morning right after I read this. And so I may just be putting those two things together when they don't belong together. Ceddanne Raphael is back in center field.
Mm-hmm.
Ceddanne Raphael is the best shortstop that the Red Sox have.
Correct.
Okay, so why did he start the year in center, then get moved to short, and now he's back in center? So I think he got moved to short because there was a pressing need there.
Correct.
Cora recognized the pressing need at shortstop was more important because David Hamilton, when he was out there, was a butcher.
Yep.
So Cora said, okay, and as soon as Raphael went to shortstop, the defense stabilized.
Yep.
I mean, almost instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Raphael is back in center. My guess is Cora wanted Raphael at shortstop. Breslow then wanted to move him back to center. And they're still using him at short in little pieces, right? But I feel like a victory that he might have had with Raphael at short has now gone back the other way because Breslow wants him in center. The long term has again outweighed the short term, and there's less emphasis being put on the present. While meanwhile, the Red Sox are 500 in, whether we believe in them or not, they are in the wild card race. You follow me? Mm-hmm. And I could see where that would tick him off.
I don't think that wasn't my read on it.
Okay, go.
So the Trevor Story injury forces Rafaela to shortstop because, David Hamilton was an abomination defensively. Then, you have this amazing historical start from a pitching perspective, but they're not scoring runs. And all of a sudden, because of Von Grissom gets called up, so he's playing second base. Alex Cora wants to give him every opportunity to get it going. He still hasn't. He's been awful offensively. And David Hamilton would be entering the game late for speed on the base paths. And, hey, can you cause some chaos here? Then he started to hit. And his hits were extra bases. And I think Cora was like, because that was actually something that Cora would talk about after games where, you'd get, 6 2/3 shutout from Houck and the Red Sox would lose whatever it was, 6-2. So I think that Cora was like, hey, we need offense. Hamilton's hitting, so now he's going to play short. And, I'm watching these games every single night. He has not been nearly as bad. Like, I don't even want to say nearly as bad. He's been fine. He's been fine at shortstop. I don't know who that was in April that was playing shortstop. That guy sucks and doesn't belong in the big leagues. David Hamilton playing short in the sample sense, Rafael was being used more regularly at short.
He's been totally fine.
Yeah. So I think it was more just Cora being like, we need offense. This guy can hit. I think we'll take mediocre defense at short, having Rafael in center, because he's made some awesome plays defensively. He's been outstanding defensively in center. But then, you have David Hamilton at short, and he's been hitting. So that helps.
Okay. I mean, that all makes sense. I guess I'm focused on the part where if he was mentally in a decent place 2 weeks ago when he's not now, and I understand you don't necessarily agree with that assessment.
No.
You think it's really been all year.
Yep.
Yeah, you think it's been all year.
Yeah.
And I can see that. Again, Alex Cora is not a smaller middle market manager that should be managing a team that is going 500. Think of it. And the Red Sox know this. They brought him here to manage a team to a championship. That was the whole idea. They felt like the manager got in the way in 2017. And they were right.
Which players confirm that, yeah.
Okay, they were right. So they brought Cora in to get them over the hump, and he did. Now they have the same manager during what it was an organizational rebuild.
Yeah.
Well, that's stupid. That doesn't make sense.
It's not the perfect comparison, Tony. I love the Boston Red Sox, and I watch all 162 games, and it is driving me crazy that they've been playing essentially 500 ball for the last 5 years. 5 years of 500 ball. I don't get blamed for the wins and losses. He does. So if I'm beyond frustrated and it has affected my mental health watching this baseball team, I can only imagine that he is affected similarly or even worse.
Right, times 10.
Because you get blamed for it.
Times 100.
But it's not necessarily your fault.
No, definitely not.
He's got to wear it.
So anyway, you've all waited very patiently. Please sit tight. I promise when we come back, we're going to do all calls next segment. Kevin Majori's Get Your Headlines. Don't go anywhere.
Sports Hub headlines.
Anthony Edwards had 29 points. Carl Anthony Towns added 25 of his own, and the Minnesota Timberwolves took down the Dallas Mavericks last night, 105-100 in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals to keep their season alive. Game 5 will be tomorrow night in Minnesota. Other NBA news, Los Angeles Clippers head coach Ty Lue signed a 5-year contract extension worth around $70 million. That makes Lue one of the highest-paid coaches in the NBA. Stanley Cup playoffs, the Florida Panthers tied up the Eastern Conference Finals at 2 games apiece with a 3-2 overtime victory last night over the Rangers. The Edmonton Oilers will look to do the same tonight when they host the Dallas Stars in Game 4 of the West Finals. Puck drop is at 8:30 tonight. The Red Sox and Orioles wrap up a 3-game set tonight in Baltimore. That gets underway momentarily. Cutter Crawford starts for the Red Sox, Corbin Byrne for the Orioles. And criminal charges against Scotty Scheffler were dropped today after the Jefferson County Attorney's Office in Louisville, Kentucky said they will not pursue the case stemming from the traffic incident outside the PGA Championship earlier this month. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Now open in Franklin, Billerica, and Peabody. I'm Kevin Majori on Boston's Home for Sports 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update in 30 minutes.
Stay tuned.
according to Chris Martin. We'll get Jared's thoughts on that as well. A lot of you are lined up on the phone, so I just ask you, please make your point quickly. We'll get Jared's 2 cents, and we'll get to as many of you as possible this segment. Evan in New York. Evan, go ahead.
Hey, Tony. To start off the show, you asked, why do you watch every night? And it's interesting. I asked my friends last night because they don't watch, and they said it's because there's no stars. I watch because I love baseball, and I've never not loved baseball, and I think the brand the Red Sox play, despite being 500 with the base running and the stealing in the first to third, is exciting for me. So I watch that. And so I'm going to keep watching. I see the pieces they have in place. Still a work in progress, but I'm going to watch every night because of that. And as Ben Reitman said in Fever Pitch, the Red Sox don't get divorced. So I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, so Evan, look, again, I'll give you credit because there aren't many people like you anymore. That's all. I mean, Jared, I don't know if there's anything you want to add, but there aren't a lot of those people. He's a diehard.
He's a diehard, and he mentioned Fever Pitch. And one of the other lines is they try to get you to stop watching by being like, you love the Red Sox, but have they ever loved you back? And my answer is yes. They've loved me back a lot. So that's why I feel like I'm married to them as well. It's like, I have a lot of great memories here. I have a lot of great experiences with this baseball team, both on the field and off the field. So I'm hooked, but I understand that the everyday baseball fan is not hooked. There are so many other options. We talked about this on the podcast where you're not just competing with other sports. It's like, the Celtics are in the finals, so I'm more locked in on the Celtics. It's like there's so many streaming services. There's just other things that you can be doing with your time. You're not just competing with the other teams within your market anymore. And I don't think the Red Sox think of it that way, but they should be. Because we are getting to a point where my generation is becoming more and more disinterested with the game,
disconnected
with the team, everything. And I'm glad that he mentioned the stars part of it because that's how I feel. I feel like guys my age, women my age that grew up loving the Boston Red Sox, it's like, look around the ballpark. And I think Zolak made it because they were on site. Zolak and Bertrand were on site for opening day.
Correct.
And Zolak made the point. He's like, look around. How many active player jerseys, how many fans are wearing jerseys right now of players that are on the team right now? And it was like, you see a couple of Devers. Everything else was players that have long departed from the Boston Red Sox. They have no stars. There's no attraction factor.
Yeah, and the team hasn't loved you back for most of the last 5 years.
Right.
And again, this phenomenon, if that's what we're going to call it, this detachment from the team did not happen overnight. The Red Sox had to work for this. Okay, in 2021, when they made the LCS, people were into it. They have had to work. They have had to suck. They have had to work hard at sucking for 3 straight years to get this level of apathy. This did not happen overnight. Colin in Worcester. Go ahead, Colin.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. This question is for Jared. I went to the game on Saturday, and in the 8th inning, the Brewers hit a home run. My entire section started cheering, and I know, Maz, you've talked about this before, but I felt like I was at an away game in that moment. They lost, but I'm just wondering Jared's perspective on Fenway being a tourist destination more than, home field advantage. Thanks for taking my time.
Yep, Jared, go.
Yeah, that was another thing that we hit on recently on the podcast about how when you go to Fenway now, I think it was the Giants series, and I think Yastrzemski hit a home run, and the Giants fans were cheering. And I was like, well, I'm not saying that there's an issue with traveling fans because that has always been a thing. When I grew up in the 90s, Yankee fans would infiltrate. Mets fans travel really well. Cubs fans in 2010, I think it was their first time in 90 years coming to Fenway. There will be instances where fans travel, and that's fine. But what I noticed, and you obviously have spent plenty of time over the years at Fenway Park, is when you would have these traveling fans come to Fenway and they're cheering for their teams, Red Sox fans would immediately just overwhelmingly drown them out and boo these people. Now they're just like, they're sitting on their hands. They don't care. It's like, yeah, have a good time. It's the Fenway experience. Come on down. Enjoy watching your team kick our team's ass. It's fine. And that's not the Fenway experience that I remember. I'm not saying, be a mean, rude fan, But no, like, have some pride. Boo them when they're like these opposing teams' fans are coming in and just putting their feet up, like, make yourself at home over here. It's not. I don't know. I hate it. It truly bothers me.
I think it's sad.
It is sad.
I think it's sad. They've overrun Fenway Park. This is what the Red Sox used to do in other stadiums. And when you're one of the teams like the Red Sox, and I'm talking about the real sort of historic teams in the game, Giants, Dodgers, Yankees, Cubs, Cardinals, Red Sox. These are the teams that routinely lead in road attendance every year because people come out to see their team. Now it happens here.
Mm-hmm.
Now it happens here against the Red Sox. Sergio on the north end says, pushback.
Hey, Tony.
Sergio, what do you got? What's your problem?
I hate you with a passion.
You hate me with a passion?
Because you're my kind, you know what I mean? I've never called you guys, and I called on the other show, and I always listen to you because I like punishment. Okay. But, Tony, tell me one thing.
Yes, Sergio.
Get away from that guy's shadow. You know what I'm saying? The Wisconsin guy.
Oh, no, I like him.
That guy. Yeah, I know. I like him, too. I like to punch him, though. If he comes by Animal Street, I'll punch him, in a nice way.
So, Sergio.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. Let me ask you this. I didn't call for the Red Sox. I know they suck.
Just be quick.
All right, this year anyway. As far as the Celtics, right?
Yeah,
Can I talk about the Celtics in this show?
So, Sergio, I'm going to put you on hold. Don't get angry. I got to do baseball this whole hour, but call back between 2 and 6, and just make sure you can talk Celtics anytime during that time. I don't know if you work or something. Call us back and we'll do it then. Okay, this is all baseball this hour. I'm sorry.
I like Sergio.
Mike is in a car. Mike, go.
Hey guys, how are you? Jared was a big fan of the Section 8 podcast.
Thank you.
So listen. I was going to ask about a fire sale before the All-Star break, but you played that clip from Cora before the break and how melancholy he sounded. It feels like this whole season has been John Henry just wolfing down Filet-O-Fish sandwiches and then asking Red Sox Nation to give him some ATM after. I mean, am I right, Jared, or what?
I mean, it's... Yeah, I think it has to start at the top. Like, if you're going to play the blame game, it starts with John Henry. And that's probably why Alex Cora is as frustrated as he is. We were talking about it off the air. I think he was promised things that the Red Sox just simply didn't even come close to delivering.
Not even close. Not even they haven't been again, it's not solely about winning championships. It's about challenging for championships. That's the only thing you can ask. There's no guarantee that they're going to win. The guarantee should come in making the effort to win. And that means from the top down. That's expenditures. That's players in uniform. Do everything in your power to win. Now, I'm not expecting a $400 million payroll.
No.
But I also think they've totally half-assed it for 4 freaking years. It's closer to 5. Mike and Stoneham. Mike, go ahead.
I understand half-assing it, Tony, but I mean, I think Jared, you said Cora is this guy with integrity, but wasn't he? He was hitting not too long ago. He was hitting trash barrels in hallways on curveballs. Why do we care so much about Cora's feelings and his integrity right now? Wasn't it the Red Sox who sort of brought him back from that whole thing? Shouldn't there be some allegiance, there?
Mike, I get your question, but let me ask you this. And at the end of the day, look, Cora will go and there'll be another manager here. But the bottom line is, in this particular argument, Cora has my support because I think Cora wants to win. Okay, so, but that aside, let me ask you the simple question. At what point does Cora have to stop thanking the Red Sox for bringing him back?
It's a fair question. I mean...
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, so look, I would argue he's already. This is what I said to Jared a little while ago. He's paid his debt.
Mm-hmm. I think he's acknowledged that too. I think in the same press conference that I'm talking about down in spring training, he said something to the effect of thank you for the Red Sox. They brought me back and this and that, blah blah blah. I also did not use the word integrity. because it's not lost on me what happened in 2017. I use the word professionalism as it pertains to being a manager for the Boston Red Sox. He does carry himself with professionalism. I did not use that word, integrity.
Yeah, so all I would say to the caller is, look, he got suspended. He missed a year. They let him go. Then they brought him back, and I'm presuming under a new contract.
Yeah.
Okay, meaning he got paid less and he took a pay cut, would be my guess.
You think he took less money on when they brought him back?
That would be my guess.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
Okay, so you think they might have given him back his original salary?
I would imagine that he, in this season, made more than he did during that first contract, yeah.
Okay, and look, you might be right. My guess is that he was damaged goods and he probably didn't have a lot of leverage, and it wouldn't surprise me if he got less.
If AJ Hinch got a job immediately somewhere else, Alex Cora was going to get a job somewhere else. I think he just wanted to be here versus the options that were available at the time.
And, remember, though, Cora was really treated as the face of the thing. Cora got hammered in that report.
Yeah.
He got hammered in it. So, in any case, all of that, I come back to the question, at what point has he paid the debt? And I think he's paid it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and not just with the year off. I would also say that he doesn't owe the Red Sox anything anymore. He's done his share. I think in this last few years, they haven't held up their end of the bargain. Quick break here. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up, say bye to Jared, and take your remaining calls if we have time.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour on the Sports Hub.
Martin, you there? No, Martin. Okay. How about Steve in Boston, South Boston? Steve, go.
Hey, Anthony, as a local guy, I think you'll get this. The Boston Red Sox are the Faneuil Hall of Boston sports. It's a place for tourists and out-of-town people. It's expensive, it's boring, and locals don't want anything to do with it. Brother, have a great night.
Okay, interesting way to look at it.
Fair.
See, now, back in my youth, Jared, you could go and drink in Faneuil Hall
Yeah.
or thereabouts. I don't know whether Bostonians still do that, but, there were some places down there we used to hang out
I haven't been there since my 20s. probably.
every once in a while.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago.
It's been a while.
It's not really a place I go anymore.
I don't really go outside.
You're a hermit?
Yeah. Well, I got 9 TVs. Why would I go outside? I got
That's,
sports bar in my house.
that's a very healthy perspective on life, Jared.
Yeah.
Stay there and sit in a room with 9 TVs.
That's me.
That is a very healthy way to do it.
No
Red
pizza.
Sox are up 1-0 on the Orioles here in the second inning. Again, potential series victory. What was that stat you had earlier?
They have not lost a series to a team in the American League East since April of last year. It was the Yankees.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a stat that is. Jared, thank you as always.
Tony.
Always a pleasure to have you here.
It's good to see you.
I mean that sincerely. Nobody gets more excited to see you than Jimmy Stewart.
I love Jimmy Stewart.
I mean, Wednesdays come. Jimmy's always in a good mood on Wednesday because he knows Jared's coming into the control room. Kevin Majori's here to give headlines. He doesn't get that excited when Majori shows up during the day, but when Jared shows up, Jimmy gets all beans. Like, well, I can't tell you what happens to his body, but anyway, Majori's got your headlines. We'll catch you tomorrow.
WBCFM from the Town Fair Tire Studios, the home of the Patriots, the Celts, the Revs, and the Bruins. Boston's home for sports is 98.5, the Sports Hub. Please leave the information. Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots held OTA practices down at Gillette Stadium earlier today, and according to Phil Perry of NBC Sports Boston, Jacoby Brissett still declared number one. Bailey Zappi looked like second up, and Drake May third. Bottom line, Jacoby Brissett remains the lead dog, and Bailey Zappi took more 11-on-11 snaps than Drake May. Other NFL news, restricted free agent wide receiver Jawan Jennings has agreed to a 2-year contract with